We welcome to the Only Fools and Horses podcast, Antoni Corone. How's it going?
Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. Thank you for inviting me.
That's all right. This is the second time, so it is Miami twice, really.
Oh, look at that. Clever you. Yes, it is.
So how you been?
I've been fantastic, really. The strike has affected me, but as did COVID. But I sorted through all of that. And luckily, I was at an age where I could more or less retire. And I've got a nice little pension that I'm surviving on. And if things fall out of the sky and hit me in the head, I do them. And so that's kind of that. The writer's strike hasn't really affected me, although it did affect me in a great way, I think. I was added to the cast of, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but whatever, Exorcist 2, this new one, Believer.
Wow. So what are you doing in that film?
I'm a priest. I can't really say more because of an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, but it was all improvised. And they had to find somebody who they felt was strong at improvisation. And when I was younger, I was in a Whose Line Is It Anyway type Spolin Theater Games improv group. My mother would probably say, well, you always were a good bullshit artist, but I don't think that's improvisation, although it might be, who knows? I was in a sales world for a while trying to give away pre-sale vacations to people that would just listen to a 90-minute presentation. And I didn't do very well at it. And people said, why not? You should be great. You're an actor. I said, hold up. There's a big difference between acting and bullshitting and lying to people, So I'm a terrible salesman. Terrible.
Wow, I've seen that trailer a few times and it does look scary, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, there were other reincarnations of it. Like probably 5 or 6. This one apparently is a true sequel. Linda Blair passed on it. I heard, but it's I can't really say more. But I'm hoping it does well, and they've really sort of have aspirations for it to shatter box office charts. It opens the 6th very soon. So
I think it's when it involves kids. That's the thing. It's quite creepy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's a clever demographic of kids. It's not just one, but it's 2. So we've got the white demographic and the black demographic. The girl is Haitian, one of them, huh? So they were very great about it. And the Blumhouse Films is a wonderful company. They're really known for their horror stuff. I'm not really a horror fan at all. Don't watch it. I'm not amused by it. I never really got into it. Although when I was younger and I saw The Exorcist, blew my mind. It was just, I was like freaked out. Seriously, I don't know if you ever saw it, but no, man, it was insane.
Yeah, it definitely kept me up. That's for sure. Chris has joined us on the Only Fools and Horses podcast. I bet he's wondering what we're talking about. Antoni's in the new Exorcist movie.
Oh, really? Wow, brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
How's that going?
It has gone.
It's gone in the can.
It's premiering on the 6th in the States here at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. So I was happy to be added to that. And it came about because they said, how have I been? And I said, fine. And then what have you been doing? And then that came up. So in addition to that, I have a puppy, and that's what I've really been doing, which is like having a child. I've forgotten how terrible it is and time consuming when you have other things to accomplish. And I'm the only one that has him, but he's a wonderful little guy. And my daughter is graduating from boot camp in the Army Thursday, and we're flying to Missouri to cheer her on. I'm really, 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 really proud of Lieutenant Tyler Cornaccioni.
Wow. So how much did you enjoy the Only Fools and Horses convention? I know you met Chris there, the other Chris.
I was amazed. I was as amazed by the response to it as I was when Cahal Carney saw me in New York and said, hey, aren't you RICO? And I'm introducing you to these guys. People were so lovely. They stood in line and were very, very patient. And I probably took way more time than I should have for the flow of traffic. But man, I felt valid. I felt loved. I felt like it was surreal. And the second time was even more surreal. Yeah. So getting there was horrific. Oh my gosh, it was like really horrific. And no matter what I did seat wise, I ended up next to, new mommy and the screaming baby. Whether it was in an exit row or a bunket row or a first class seat, there's no escaping. Really, they really should have non-children flights. It was like 9 hours of that. I wanted to just go in the bathroom and kill myself.
But it was all fine when you got to England, I guess.
Yeah, yes. Once I got there, it was great. And once I was leaving the first time, I didn't realize that there was a COVID protocol to go out of Heathrow. And I had vaccination certificates and everything. And they said, well, you need a positive test, a negative test. And I'm like, well, where? Well, you got to go to Terminal 3 and you got to pay $50. What a shakedown. They had hundreds of people standing in a line to get a test, each of them at $50 a person. Missed my flight. Luckily, one of the workers at the ticket counter sort of knew who I was and was able to put me on one the next day without charge. Thank goodness. But wow, yeah, that was really seriously. The there and back was total challenge. I mean, I've been to New York so many times, and I know that subway system, and this subway system is weird compared to ours. Ours seemingly makes sense, but I guess now that I figured it out, yours does too. It's this circle that goes there, and this circle that goes there, and this circle that goes there, and this one's orange, and this one's yellow, and this one's blue. But what I don't see about your subway system that is always a mystery to me is why you have upholstered seats, cloth seats, which would capture and sustain much more skank. Ours are plastic. We can pressure wash them and boil them.
Mind the gap.
Yeah, but the seats, I was afraid to even touch them. I was like, wow, this is cloth.
I always stand up, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I don't know who designed that, but it's brilliant and it's 80s and it's wow, like you're on an acid trip. The pattern is festive, I suppose. But I loved London. I was able to stay a couple days. I asked if I could. And London to me was very, very elegant. I saw pretty much everything I could. It was really gorgeous. Your Central Park version, Bryant Park, is 3 times bigger than ours. And I was surprised to see parrots, live parrots. People hold it like by St. James Gardens or whatever it was, holding their hands out like this, and parrots sitting on their hands, eating them like pigeons do in New York. Unreal. Very, very gorgeous place. I would love to go back with my family.
Yeah, it's a wonderful city, isn't it? And of course, the last time you was on the podcast, you spoke about meeting Sir David, and you got to meet him at the convention, didn't you? What was that like? Again.
Oh, he's still the sweetest gentleman. Yeah, it was great. He had said to me, I saw each other from far. He had, anyone who's never been there, he is the most accommodating man. He takes as much time as he needs to with everybody, and 10-hour days, 12-hour days, plus a speech at lunch. And he still finds time for every single last person. And I found out that he lives a part-time in Florida as well. So I said, well, we'll have to make arrangements to have lunch or something. I guess maybe movie stars do that and never do it. But every time I see him, he has a smile. And I felt great because he said, I really thought that you were on your way, man. You had everything going for you. And I said, well, I did okay. Not, huge, but he said he would have bet money that I would have had my own TV show. I just didn't live in the epicenter. I guess that's why. Great.
He won't go to lunch with you. He either gets shot or he goes jet skiing. He will never go to lunch with you, Antoni, will he?
Well, he knows that I'm inept, so why not?
Yeah. What did you talk about? Was there a particular conversation, would you say, from the show that you spoke about, or memories from that?
No, not really. It was mostly about how he is and his health, and he just had his hip replaced, and that he still flies helicopters. And I said, man, I would love to do a tour if that was it. And he said, yeah, maybe we'll fly if the weather suits us. So it didn't work out, but I would have loved to have done a helicopter too. So he's very spry, he's very great. His wife is lovely. He's just a beautiful, beautiful human being. I kissed him on the cheek, not the kiss of death. Yeah. I have two great pictures I'm really fond of. And I told him I had a hat a long time ago. I asked him if he remembered. And he said, sure, he did. It was a BBC hat. But I think I begged from Sue Falstaff, who was one of the producers or something, and he signed it to the best son I never had. And it was in the Hall of Fame. And then when we had a child, my wife, including the script and a couple other things, just went through it all and go, hey, you're a hoarder. You don't need this stuff. I wish I had some of it.
Yeah, because I asked you, didn't I, when we were exchanging emails? I was like, because you mentioned it, but yeah, apparently you haven't got it anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. And I had even some of the clothes that I was going to look through and see if I had the tie or the suit from it. One of them, I didn't have anything. Yeah, once you have children, you have to, half of your stuff has to go away for some of theirs, and that's roughly what happened.
Yeah, we found out, like me and Chris doing the podcast, that people didn't necessarily keep things back then. Now everything would be kept if you could, but I don't think people did it as much.
Well, no, I did. I tried to. I'm seriously. I saved every call sheet that I was ever in. I don't know why. Maybe because my mom did. So my mom passed, and this was about 5 years ago. And just recently, I'm an ordained minister, and my best friend's daughter asked if I would marry her, perform the ceremony as the officiant, not to marry her. But and then my sister said, look, I've been going through all this stuff, and we've asked a million times, and she gave me 2 big boxes like this, full of stuff that was mine. And what was in it were my report cards from 1st and 2nd grade, my Cub Scout uniform, my first football jersey American real football, not soccer, when I played at 7 years old. And I said, I cried. I said, oh my gosh, I wanted to show it to, like, look, my kids didn't care. My wife didn't care. I said, why don't we do this to our kids? Because what I regretted my mom not doing is once a year around Christmas giving me a packet of it and going, here you go, honey. Because I just was, I was transported right back to that time. And some of the notes that the teachers were like, Anthony would do much better in class if he would stop paying attention to the girls in the hallway and shit like that. I swore, sorry. Yeah, I've got no memorabilia now, except maybe an old headshot of mine. Here's one that just happens to be next to me. This is what I looked like when I was your age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I thought I was going to be a movie star, but look at me now. Crusty old guy. I went from playing mafia guys and military guys to doctors and priests. I've gone the final approach. I'm in the golden years, let's say, it seems.
I mean, in America, you've probably been in lots of things that we don't necessarily know over here. I would imagine lots of different.
Yes,
things.
I've done some great things that I'm very proud of, and not to toot my own horn or whatever, but so, people had said that I have friends that are in the world of finance and corporations and things, and they've got the 401ks and the big cars and big houses and kids in private school and such. And I said, wow, you're so blessed. I took an all-American swing at it to try to hit it out of the park, and I didn't really succeed. And they said, what? You're kidding me. I mean, you've got it all wrong. You were able to coach your kids in every sport they ever chose. You were at every recital they ever did. I didn't even know my kids. I had to work. I was traveling. My wife raised my kids, and then nanny raised my kids. There was none of that magic. And I said, wow, I never thought in terms of that. And then somebody pointed out to me that I have worked with, I was a publicist of mine, 40-ish or so Academy Award winning, SAG Award winning, Golden Globe winning, or nominee directors and or actors, and held my own substantially with them. And that's a feat in itself. Now, financially, I didn't get the same check they got, but to be included every single time and to have to jump through whatever hoops that selection process entails, when I look back on it, it's unfathomable. I've been very, very blessed. So yeah, some of them that I've been proud of was one called We Own the Night, and it has Robert Duvall and Joaquin Phoenix and Mark Wahlberg and Ava Mendez. It's about cops in the 80s. There are a few. I mean, Bad Boys 2, I'm known for pretty well. So yeah, I've been lucky. Been very, very lucky. Somebody at the convention said, "Oh my God, I saw you on Ace Ventura." I was like,
A detective.
Wow. Yeah, detective. And I said, that was something I don't even put on my resume. I mean, and I guess it would be like me saying, "Oh, I love British television. Benny Hill's my favorite." You know, we're so out of the mix. You knew that they tried to make a American remake of Fools and Horses. Did you hear about that?
Bit of a flop, wasn't it, Antoni? Was it?
Oh
Bit of a
my
flop.
God, it flopped terribly. I
Mm.
mean, it had some great talent. John Leguizamo, I don't know if he was going to play Del or Roddy, but did nowhere. And nor did Life on Mars, where they tried to do that. I think it lasted about half of the season with Harvey Keitel. Although The Office did very well, Stepford and Son, or Sanford and Son with Steptoe and Son. So they trade them back and forth, but that one didn't translate. And you know what? Nor should it. Sadly, I was with other guests at these conventions, and I had nothing in common with them. I didn't know their work. I probably may have come off rude. It wasn't my intention. We never see. I never saw the show. I have no idea of any other part of it except what I was included in. But I did hear from some people that it was one of the few 13, was it, of the Christmas episodes or something, and that it was in the popularity of all the all times down in the bottom 5. And then there were people who absolutely loved it. And some of the contention, from what I heard from the convention, was that it was because it had no laugh track, and it was really shot as a feature. It wasn't really sitcom-y, and it didn't have a good portion of the regular cast and such. And then I pointed out to them, did you guys watch it with bated breath? Because if I had succeeded, or my guys had succeeded in actually killing Del, Fools and Horses would have been done. The whole show would have ended. And then everybody, no, we never thought of it that way. So I guess it wasn't presented in a way that, it was a cliffhanger thing. Everybody just assumed he was going to live and everybody would be happily ever after. But
Antoni, did you know that is Miami Twice is actually Sir David's favourite episode of Only Fools and Horses that he's been in? Believe it or not, he had the most fun filming it.
Oh, why wouldn't he? Look who he got to hang out with for a month. He got to play 2 characters. He had a blast. And he was invisible. When we went out for drinks or lunch or whatever, nobody recognized him. Nobody had any clue who he was. He was, oh, this is so refreshing for the first, maybe couple times. And then after that, it's like, oi. Yeah, no, it was so much fun. So much fun.
We've talked about that before with actors, how it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes when you're known as one character, and like Rodney beside me here, everybody calls him Dave, Nicholas Lyndhurst, and apparently,
what a gentleman.
Obviously, he'd get that all the time, every time people would see him in the street. So sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. Sometimes.
I've never had the luxury or the curse of that, with the exception of one time when I was on a soap opera. You know what soap operas are?
Yeah.
EastEnders over here, yeah.
Yeah, and I was there for Sweeps Week, which meant that the ratings, they added this whole cliffhanger stuff, and I was this bad guy. I think I threw a little girl in. I tried to kill a little girl. I suffocated somebody. I shot somebody else, and I would walk down the streets of New York, and people would not spit on me, more or less, but they were like, "You're a jerk. How dare you?" I'm like, wow, yeah, it's just a show, guys. Relax.
You think it's real, obviously, crazy. Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't think we asked this last time, because John Chalice and Sue Holderness were over in America with you. Did you have much to do with those guys at all when they were there?
They were there for one day.
Were they? Is that all it was? At the Everglades, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Everglades, and they were on the airboat for a good portion of it while we were on this little island. And I think perhaps at wrap or lunch or something, we were introduced to them, and we were like, "Oh yeah, hey, great to meet you. She's wonderful." It's too bad about John. Yeah, so I met his wife. She's a lovely gal. But yeah, we really didn't interact with them at all. Although one of my favorite pictures, I may have it here, and one that seems to be very popular at the convention, is this one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'd seen a picture of all of you together. Yeah, nice picture, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic picture. It was an afterthought. It was all right, let's do a photo, and that's how it turned up, just like that. And I don't think it was ever anything except someone's private collection. Maybe mine, or I've forgotten. I don't think it was the stills photographer. That it may be. That was before everybody had a camera on their phones. I had a flip phone back then, but I used to carry a camera around for that. I had a hobby where I would take photos and draw a line down the back of them on 4x6s and make postcards out of them, which turned into a pseudonym thing that I do street photography, like mostly New York stuff, and then I tweak it with some crazy filters. And I've never tried selling them, but they're pretty popular.
Good hobby, yeah. So that's really special, that photo, because as you say, now everybody's got cameras on their phones, but back then you didn't take pictures all the time, did you?
No, we didn't. That's like I said, I carried a camera around, and I would ask somebody, "Hey, can you take a shot of the monitor or whatever?" Now everywhere is a phone. Everybody has a phone, and every phone has a camera on it. So, yeah, and sadly, I probably have a ton of photos that I wish I had printed and have a place to look. What I did do is I felt so strongly about the convention that I had this made, because I want my kids someday to go, I was valid, I was loved, people did care. So this was a gift. Beautiful. It's a leather bound book. And,
lovely, jubbly.
Right. And inside of it are all of the people that I had met that were taken off Facebook that posted stuff.
Oh wow.
It's
I might actually be in there then. I was in a blue top. I might be in there somewhere.
You might, yeah. I mean, I tried to, and I've friended so many people on crack, brag, bitch, whatever you want to call it. And I try as hard as I can to remember everyone's names, but I do. In fact, I guess they call them handlers that was with me in the booth at the convention were commented several times on, wow, you remember everybody's faces and stuff. So I'm trying to do the homework, because I might get to a place where people would like, what do you mean you don't remember me? You're like, you signed this for me, and I'm your friend on Facebook, and you don't know my name, and what a jerk you are. I hope that doesn't happen, but I've met some really, really great people, and I remember every face, and I'm really, really happy that I have that book, and I hope to add to it.
Sorry, go on, Tony.
I was going to say, you guys should send me maybe we should do a screenshot of this, so I can add that to it. If you could forward it to me. I don't know how.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Let's just do this. Gallery. If we all smile now, everybody smile. There you go. That's long enough.
Thank you.
I'll send it to you.
Please do, yes.
Where's the weather gone? Last time you were outside in your shorts, weren't you, by the pool?
Yeah, no, it's still that, and I just came in for this. I've got to go take my dog to the dog park, so I've got shorts on underneath my shirt here. It was the autumn last time, just like it is now, I think, but near the end of the autumn. And you had a gal with you before, didn't you?
Yeah, Emily couldn't make it this evening, unfortunately.
Oh, dear her.
She says hello.
I think the last time we did it was May time, because it was just before I met you at the convention, I think, Antoni, last time.
Maybe, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought it was near some kind of hockey playoffs because I was wearing a jersey and I was all wasting everybody's time talking about the Florida Panthers like nobody cared.
Oh, we did. Follow them now, but follow them. Do you know the episode? I don't know if we asked this last time. How long did it take to make that episode? I imagine it was a real few months, would it be?
Oh, no.
No, not that long.
No, it was probably maybe 3 weeks.
Really? Is that all?
Yeah, maybe not even 3 weeks. I'd say 3 weeks. I think I shared last time there was a shakedown from the Teamsters. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that was very interesting. Terrible, but interesting.
Yeah, very terrible.
Mm.
And there may have been other BBC shows that came to the States, but after that incident, I think John said, "Yeah, we'll never come back." And I don't blame him. It was terribly usury. It wasn't fair.
That sort of thing wouldn't happen these days, though, would it? Really?
Sure.
It would.
It's America, man. Come on. We don't play fair, I guess. I don't know. But the thing about filming is mostly it's non-linear. I don't mean to act like anything other than trying to inform you. So maybe you would understand why a 3-week thing would happen. So let's say they had access to the Biltmore Hotel, which was where our house, there were 2 of our houses. There was the actual house, which was in South Beach, where the cocaine, the cross-eyed, those guys were fantastic. Mario, I love Mario, so Mario Ernesto Sanchez. Cocaine, yeah.
Cocaine.
That house was a house that we had for, let's say 4 days. So that meant that you had to shoot every interior in that house or every exterior of that house, the establishing shots, the drive up with the limousine, Dell being brought back by the cops for me to say I got something for his throat, all the interior tennis stuff. So all of that would be crammed in, and it wouldn't be all in a way where, okay, this is where it is in the script, and then this is where it is in the script, and this is where it is. Similarly, the exterior stuff, that restaurant we had for 1 day, the bathroom in the restaurant wasn't even near the restaurant. It was at a sound stage. And that was filmed completely like 3 or 4 days prior to or after the restaurant was filmed. So that's kind of how it works. And the challenge for actors, if anybody cares, is to try to remember where your arc is at any given time, because you can't go, oh, shoot, I wish I had done this because now I'm married to it because I did it prior to. So that's why the locations is very, very challenging. And it's also very challenging on the bigger shows because of stars scheduling. You only get this guy for 2 weeks or this guy for 3 days, and you got to bang all his stuff out. So that responsibility goes to a first assistant director who does all of that scheduling and such. But and then you have the company move stuff. Again, I hope I'm not boring you guys, but so if you do a scene X and then you have to go to even another room, let's just say, that means all of the equipment has to be carried there and then set up and then tested and then rehearsed. And each setup may take, I don't know, 2-3 hours. And even if you're in the same room and you do an establishing of the room, let's say when he comes in, he tells me the dog and bones knackered and I have no idea what he's talking about. So you would shoot it so that it's 2 of us, and then you would break another hour, and then everything that we saw over there would now be storage so that the camera could come this way. And then we would see my coverage, and then we would break again and move everything and light everything. So we would see Sir David's coverage. And that's kind of the process. It's tedious. But I don't know. Did that bore you? I probably did.
No, it was interesting. There was also the nightclub, wasn't there?
Yeah, the nightclub, I think, was one of the first days. The nightclub was the first day. I think that was 1 day. That was 1 day. And I think we talked about that there was a guy named Luther Campbell. You know that rap guy, American rap guy? He was arrested in Miami like 4 times for having such profane lyrics. I mean, really, really raunchy, X-rated. They wouldn't do any airplay. one of them that got to a pretty popular notoriety was, do you ever see Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah, the film, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So when they're walking, I think it's Kevin and I forget who else are walking through Laos or whatever, and the girl goes, "Oh, me so horny." Remember that?
Yeah.
That was the name of the song. And they did a
Ah.
sample of, "Oh, me so horny, me love you long time." And then it went into this rap song. And that was the tamer of the two. It became a huge hit, but that was his club.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Oh.
yeah.
I'm sure the guy, Frankie, you're good friends with him. I'm sure he rung you when you were on the podcast last time, didn't he? Is that right? Did Frankie from the club ring you? I'm sure you said, or message you or something.
So I don't remember any of the names of any of the people except Dave. Dave was Lurch, and Jay was Tony. And if the guy who came up to me, Roberto Escobar's real name, is wonderful, talented, very, very talented actor. Does a lot of novellas. He's very popular in Colombia and stuff. If he played Frankie, then I don't think he did.
He was the nightclub host. I thought you said he rung you when we were on the podcast. The guy from the host of the nightclub. He said,
no, he's great. A wonderful man. Yeah. I've done probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 movies with him.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've done at least 8 or 9 with Mario Ernesto Sanchez, who was the Cuban that was doing the cocaine dealer. And I mean, I got along with everyone well. They were my best mates, right? And it was an inexpensive show. I think I mentioned it, and I'm not, bitching or whatever, but there was no like dressing room that I had. So we were all standing outside under a tarp in the heat in the Everglades with bugs everywhere. And they were monkeying around while I was trying to remember, pages worth of dialogue. And then some of it, we just fell apart. And I don't speak to some at all. Lurch and I don't speak anymore, sadly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wonderful guy, but it's just his politics and mine are different, and he took offense to my politics, and I was like, whatever, man. There's a big chasm in the States here over politics now. You're either this or you're that. It's
no middle ground, I guess.
None, and it's extreme on both sides. And each one of them doesn't see that the other one is doing the exact same thing. I'm so non-committal. I'm so non-aligned to anybody. All I care is the bottom line and fairness. And if you want to be this, then you should be that. And one of the biggest, and I don't want to be on a rant, but I guess I will, terrible things was during the COVID epidemic, when everybody had to shut down, the whole world shut down, riots could happen. Riots, actual riots, and people stopping cars in the street and tearing down statues and burning things was not social distancing. But my friend couldn't go to his mother's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, very tough time for everybody, wasn't it? It was terrible.
Yeah, but again, if you're going to make the rules, make the rules. If you're going to riot and you're going to be a major human spreader of all this stuff because you're indignant, it should have never happened.
And how hard was it to learn your lines for Miami Twice? Was it difficult or not really?
I was young, man. Now I'm older. I have to 6 times, and I can't even write them down and look at them if I forget. No, it was part of the thing. So you don't have to remember the entire script at once. You just remember those days' work. So it's pretty easy. And I don't ever want to overlearn my lines. Because they become route. I would rather have them be sort of spontaneous, depending on how whomever I'm acting with does what they do. Then then now I know what I have to say, but I'm now affected by how I say it. So it's not difficult for me to. Some people have a hard time with it, and really, I think part of that problem is only because of nerves. If you're scared and you're not relaxed, your mind is cluttered with stuff other than what you need it to be cluttered with.
Would you consider doing another episode if it ever got offered you, or of Only Fools and Horses?
I would. In fact, I was hoping that David would ask me to come in as an old American in the open all night show.
Yeah,
that'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him if I see him again. Hey, man, how come I'm not on that show? I had really seriously thought of looking for representation. I have an agent now that represents me in Greece and Africa and the UK, but I was looking for a specific agent in London. And I think I asked Tony and John, Tony Dowd and John both, like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, you know, you're a little long in the tooth. I don't really see it gonna happen. And I said, oh, all right, whatever you say. But there have been some English movies that I've seen that I would like, man, I would love to be in a you know, those gritty ones that they're doing now, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Guy Ritchie stuff, that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I would love to try. So maybe when I get there this time and I'm in London, I'll stay and see if I can seek out some representation.
I know Chris is a big fan. Peaky Blinders would have been great for you, I think, Antoni, wouldn't it, Chris? Do you think?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I think I would have done. You know, I mean, I don't know if I would have had an effect.
To be honest, you would have been better as the Italian American than the person they chose, because he did the worst impression ever. Seriously, it was like an Al Pacino sort of, "Hey, how you doing?" It was like that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, so over the top. Yeah, well, I just need to have somebody positioning me to be in the mix there. And I imagine they are using people that live there. I can't imagine them flying somebody in and out, although people are flown in and out of locations all the time. So I'm lazy now. You know, I'm jaded by it because I've been around for so long. What am I going to do? Hi, I was the guy 40 years ago that, you know, you didn't see that. Well, I also shot the bazooka and you didn't see that one either. Okay, well, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Trying to impress someone with who I was, because it's pretty much final approach.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us, Tony. We're running out of time. It's been great to speak to you.
I hope I was interesting.
As always.
As always.
I love you guys. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you again at another con, if that's possible.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully so. Yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Tony.
Cheers, Tony. Thanks a lot.
Bookie Street.